Hey everyone, it's Kai from Kool Collectibles, back again for another figure review. This time it's the Inflames Toys Cross Newsoul Toys 1/6 scale Monkey King from the Journey to the West. Straight up, I got to give a big shout out to Charles Lim, my fellow admin on 1/6 Republic, for finding this figure for me. I've been looking for it for a while and it was getting really hard to find at a decent price, and he managed to find it at, I think it's called XL Store in Malaysia. I finally got this just the other day. Shipping from Malaysia was pretty slow, even though it was EMS, but I'm just glad to finally have this pretty damn awesome figure in the collection. I missed out on the first Monkey King released by Inflames Toys. I found out that they did a couple of revisions of that. The first, I think, had a plastic fur on the head sculpt, and I think the second one had fake fur, which this one does have. So I'll give you guys a closer look at that. But I missed out on that one, and that one was more of an ornate Monkey King, where he was dressed up in his full sort of god gear, whereas this one is more to my liking and more similar to the way I guess I remember him to be in the Journey to the West. And you know, I grew up watching the ABC Monkey King, Monkey Magic on the ABC after school, and I'm from a Chinese background, so my dad loves Monkey Magic as well, or Sun Wukong as he's known in China, or in this particular case it's not Sun Wukong, it's Sun Xingzhe. So I'll give you guys a look at the box first up. The box art is absolutely beautiful. When I first opened this, it was almost like I was opening a Hot Toys DX figure. I love the art at the front there, and that artwork there is pretty much the sort of pose that I'm going to have the figure in, because the articulation is pretty good after you sort of futz around with it. So there it is, Xiyoji, as in the Journey to the West, that you see there, and there's the Sun Xingzhe, or commonly known as Sun Wukong, and there he is on the back there. Love the costume and the box. So everything's in there with foam, pretty much like the Hot Toys DX figures, and you know, the plastic and so on with the insert. So everything is really nicely packaged like that. The accessories, I'll just move the figure out the way. The best accessory for me, by a long way, is his staff. And I had the assumption that it was going to be plastic, but it actually is full metal, and it's beautifully engraved. So there's the tip of it there. It's a really nice art and moulding on that, nicely painted in a sort of dull gold color, and this whole silver section here is just one big long rod of metal. But it's not just metal, it has this engraving in it, and my Chinese isn't good enough to read that sort of style, to be honest. My dad would be ashamed, but I'll probably have to ask him what that all says. But the amount of detail on this is just incredible, and the weight and heft of it is just really good quality. So definitely happy to have this as a surprise. And of course he comes with the little tiny version that I think you can stick behind his ears. So this is just a little bit of thin plastic, but a really nice touch there. He comes with this cotton wool or felt. I haven't actually taken it out of the wrapping here, but I will do once I pose it up towards the end of the video. But this is really to simulate the cloud that he rides on. So I love that they've included that. He comes with a couple of closed hands, or fisted hands to start off with, but he does have 5 other hands as well. So these ones are, I guess, him either pointing or doing some sort of one of those iconic gestures of his, or saluting, or something like that, pointing off into the distance. The moulding, it's not too bad. The paint app on the fingers and so on, I would have it would have been nice if they had sort of made the fingernails a different color, but the fur color here sort of does blend in pretty well with the overall costume. So you get 2 of those. This is almost like the ABC where he's doing that thing across his mouth to make his staff bigger. And then you get a wide open hand. Get to see his long sort of fingernails there. So that's nice. And then a couple of just sort of relaxed hands. So this is probably him squinting off into the distance with this over his eyes. So nicely done there. And he comes with this stand. Now I'm not even sure if they just somehow got or reused the Hot Toys versions of these, because this bendable rod here and the top and the sort of holder here seems pretty much identical to the Hot Toys design, including the foam around the bottom here and on the inside. So I don't know if they just copied Hot Toys or if these are sort of made generically in China somewhere, but that's pretty much identical to the Hot Toys. And I do like this base with these sort of gold corners and so on. So you can have him posed up pretty high, and you just sort of bend this around to suit the pose that you want. And lastly, for accessories, it comes with 2 separate head sculpts. So the one that he comes with default is a closed mouth, sort of fairly neutral look or a determined look. But being Sun Wukong, he is a bit playful, I guess. So he does come with a smiling head sculpt, and as you can see, it's got that nice sort of blondish fur to it. I haven't really fussed around with it, but I'm sure you can sort of just dab a bit of water on it and pat it down a little bit. But it does look quite nice, and the skin tone and so on, and the teeth there are pretty nicely painted. So it's just the neck joint there, and then on the alternate head sculpt, he's a little bit angrier. So very similar with the hair, very nicely done and soft. Doesn't seem to come off that easily with the touch, which is a good thing, obviously. And again, the skin tone and so on is pretty good. So I probably won't be using this one. I might decide to use that one every now and then, but I'll get the figure and show you the default head and the rest of the costume. Alright, so here's the main figure. I'll just give you guys a close-up of the default head. So it's a more neutral, sort of determined look. And you can probably put his hand over his eyes as he's looking into the distance on his cloud. So I'll probably do something similar. The costume itself, I think, is really nicely done. It's a nice sort of, it's not a overly thin material, but it's got a nice weight and touch to it. It's almost like a thin khaki or canvas type material. So it's not overly delicate, so even with my hands, it's not as delicate as say the Hot Toys 1966 Batman figure, which just running my fingers over it, I almost created some runs in it. So this one is not that delicate and pretty hard wearing. He comes with this little hat that you can sort of futz around. So the little bow there, I think you can just slide that off and take his hat off as you change the sculpts. And he comes with this ring around his head, which I'll probably just need to futz to get that sort of looking a bit even. But you can sort of move it around and futz around with that. So all in all, nicely detailed there. I do love this sort of fake tiger skin. It's a really nice sort of feeling material with that sort of fake fur. Wraps all the way around. I'm not actually sure how they connect this thing, because I'm not sure if they actually just tied it in, because there's no other sort of spot that I can see to remove this, and there's no way that I would even try and attempt to do it. because I probably wouldn't be able to put the figure back together again. But this whole section down here is wired, so you can sort of feel a thin wire in there, and you can sort of just bend this as you want when you're posing it up to flow in the wind and so on. So a really nice touch there, and you get the sort of fur, the tiger fur on the forearms here as well. I guess it would have been better if these boots here weren't this sort of soft plastic or rubber material. If they had done this in more of a felt, like the Hot Toys DX06 Jack Sparrow, that would have been perfect, because those boots have that sort of really nice felt material and are also articulated, so you know, you can bend the ankles and so on, whereas this figure there's no ankle articulation really at all, so it's pretty rigid. You can sort of get a bit of give in the feet and so on, but I can't sort of feel any major articulation in there at all, so just be wary of that. But on the articulation, this is probably one of the figures where it really does take a bit of time to get used to the shoulders. I feel it's quite different to the ones that I'm used to from Hot Toys, so I'll get to that in a second. But with the head, it just does rotate easily to the side and so on. It doesn't really have too much of an up and down motion, probably just due to that sort of neck joint there, but that's okay. I'll get to the arms in a second. The legs have a lot of range of motion forwards, probably hindered by the suit there, but going backwards they pretty much hit a point there, and you can sort of feel the joint, and it just stops there. So but it does have a double jointed knee, so you can't get that bend in it. It does have a thigh swivel as well, so that's pretty good, but as I was saying before, no ankle articulation in there. So that's pretty much the legs. So I do like that it goes forward pretty well, but backwards it pretty much stops at that point, and you can't do any more. And it does go out fairly wide as well, so you get a good look at the costume there. So quite nicely done. And the fists rotate fairly easily and tilt up and down as well on those usual ball pegs. I haven't tried to swap out the hands just yet, so hopefully they're not too difficult to do, and hopefully these tiger fur don't come off with it, because I'm not sure how you'd tuck those back in there, to be honest, but we'll have to see how that goes when I do that. But onto the shoulders. So initially when I opened up the figure, I was actually a bit confused about how the shoulders worked. I guess I'm used to being able to just sort of, on a Hot Toys figure, move the arms out and rotate them forward. And when you bend the elbow, many of the Hot Toys figures, you sort of bend the elbow and then you can just rotate the arms like this can. But it's not so much a bicep swivel here. It's like this whole shoulder joint essentially turns. So the shoulder joint, it has the sort of butterfly motion back and forth. It does the rotation, but this is where you need to be careful that when you have it out in this position, you can rotate it like this, but there's no way that you can really move it back in and out again. You sort of have to rotate it in and then push it down. So I was in this position on this arm, for example, getting it up and then trying to rotate it, which again it's hard to rotate without. So as you can see on this arm here, I can sort of easily rotate it like so, but on this arm here it feels very tight, and I just feel that if I push this anymore, it's going to snap that arm right off. So it's a matter of just trying to feel around with that joint and rotating it at that joint. So you can see that I'm sort of getting that rotation in there now, and then just sort of futzing the clothes around it. So it's really just a matter of being aware of where that joint is and how it moves, and just takes a bit of patience, which I'm terrible at. And I guess the other thing I noticed was because the clothing is a little bit loose and the gap in the shoulder joint is pretty big to allow that range of motion, sometimes the clothes get stuck in there and it feels like, you can see how the clothes are getting stuck in there, and it feels like the range of motion is being restricted, but you just need to sort of pull it out and futz it around, and you can get quite a good range of motion in the arms. So just play around with it. It's definitely a better body than most of the sideshow figures that I've got, particularly in the knees and the shoulder and elbow articulation. So I still think the Hot Toys True Type figure, the True Type base body, is probably the best one on the market. And I'm not sure if anyone's really going to change this over to that True Type, like a Slim or something like that, just because I don't know how easy it is to get these back on. But it would be interesting to see this figure in that sort of True Type body. But that is pretty much it for the figure. I'll get him into some decent poses and post up some photos on the website and the Facebook page, so definitely head on over and check out the Kool Collectibles website. But hopefully that gives you a pretty good overview of what the figure is and what you might expect if you're trying to look for this figure. Apparently it's selling out all over China, and I guess it is more of an esoteric type of release, mainly for those sort of fans who sort of follow Chinese mythology and history and so on. So probably not for everyone, but definitely right up my alley, and I'm glad that they've finally announced Sandy or Sha Wujing and how do you pronounce his name? Zhu Bajie. So hopefully they all come out before the end of the year, and hopefully they do the horse and the monk as well. So we'll see how that goes. But that's pretty much it. Hope you guys like that look. Hope you can click that subscribe button. I've just received a whole bunch of figures from Big Bad Toy Store as well, from the Japanese series of Playouts Kai and the Gatchaman and Revoltech, I think, or the movie Revo DeLorean. So hopefully you can stick around for that. So thanks again, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers. Bye.